Hello again, BGFH, back again. Just doing a little addition to the Beyond Eyes video. Sorry for the false ending there, but I'm actually recording this little section the next day after playing through the whole game and recording the initial part of this video. So I came back to it really quick because I ended up actually watching the Giant Bomb Quick Look. I noticed earlier this morning that they had uploaded a video for this game on there, and like I said earlier, I'm really curious to see how mainstream websites take to this game. And before I talk a little bit about that, I loaded Chapter 4, and so this is obviously quite a ways in, and see how the rain, this is what I was talking about earlier, like you literally are almost blind here, like you can't see much of anything, and the further I go, like as I get further away from the starting point, the ground is going to cover back up, so you can't even cheat as a sighted user, and you can't really see, use your vision as much, especially toward the end of this level. So it's kind of cool how they do that. It's like, okay, well, once you uncover it, you can kind of see. But now, yeah, I mean, look at that. Now, like, that's almost already gone. Like, you can't really see. So that's kind of a cool touch. But the reason that I actually decided to record another part of this is after watching their video, I actually liked some of the things that they said about this game. And it was kind of a blur yesterday as far as, like I said, I tried doing original Let's Play for this, just starting it up, have not played it before, and I got far enough in and I'm like, this is a really, really slow game. Even if I did a full Let's Play, I'm not even sure I would watch it, just because it was such, it is such a slow game. Deliberately so, but it is just a really slow-paced game, and so I decided not to, and I couldn't remember really what I had said during that initial kind of Let's Play thing and what I said during the actual recording for the Low Vision Spotlight here. But, like I said, it was really interesting what they had, and one of the things that they mentioned right away, which I thought I had mentioned in my first video, but I really didn't, is, I mentioned her not walking around without a cane, or some kind of a, either a cane or a guide dog or something like that. Probably be a cane, because you can't really get guide dogs until you're a bit older and have mastered. You have to have mastered cane travel before you're actually allowed to apply for and get a guide dog in real life. So it would be a cane. But more importantly, okay, wandering around your backyard, that's cool. That's fine. But, like, where are the parents in this whole thing? Where, it's like, okay, yeah, you can walk around your yard, that's generally fine, especially after a little while, you get used to it. You know what your backyard is like, you know what your house is like, you can navigate that in the dark, even as a sighted person, you can walk around that. You know the general layout, you can walk around it in the dark, with not too much of a problem. And, but yeah, so it's like, well, they're just letting her, wander around, like, crossing streets without a cane, just going off in the neighborhood. You've gone to, like, parks and docks, and we're going, down this, like, this bridge, and there's, we're trying to, go down to the beach. So, I mean, she's all over the place. And the other thing that I wondered at the end of this game, I mean, I guess I can maybe tell because of what actually happens at the end, but I'm thinking, how in the heck does this girl get home? She's kind of just aimlessly wandered throughout the levels in this game, and she, it's like, okay, yeah, I'm just kind of wandering around and going on these, like, cat visions and stuff, but, like, how in the heck is she going to get home? I mean, she can't just memorize all of these paths that she has taken to find her way back home. She's gonna have to get help. That's just the way it is. But Another thing, one of the things that I really liked, and I didn't even really think about, or I didn't speak it very well, but I've had sort of not as much fleshed out thoughts. But one of the things I liked about what they said was that, they said, like I said, the game is, there's really not much going on. You move really slowly. You don't have much interaction. And if you're playing it for a long period of time, just to get through all of it, it can become a little tedious. It can become a little monotonous. But to have the scope of this game expanded a little bit would be actually really cool. And what they suggested, and I think would be a fantastic idea, I would love to see a game try to tackle this, is, so, now, and the way they described it, and I didn't even think of this either, so, the reason that, so she, this girl, she had sight at one time. She lost her vision during that accident. So she has some memory of what seeing things is. So it actually does make sense, now that I actually think about it, it does make sense that once she has explored something, it may not be perfectly accurate. I mean, she's not going to know exactly what color a flower is, or, oh, there's a car, and it, maybe it's a blue one, maybe it's a gray one, or red, or whatever. She's not going to know that, but she at least has a representation, so it's like, yeah, okay, I know what a car is. I know what trees are. That kind of thing. So, that actually makes sense. So when she's walking around and you're uncovering it, it actually does make sense. But it would be really interesting to have a game play from multiple perspectives and not just focus on blindness, but focus on, don't tie everything necessarily to blindness or low vision, but tie it to how people actually perceive the world. So that's a really neat idea. So, like, let's say we'll use the scenario for Beyond Eyes. So let's say, okay, you're a little girl, you are going to, you're looking for your pet cat or whatever, and you were born blind. So, you know what the world is like through touch and sound and things like that, but you don't know what things actually look like because you've never seen them. So, you could have, instead of having, as I uncover this world here, it's drawing a realistic, albeit kind of like a painting, watercolor representation, but it's more or less a realistic representation of the sighted world. But for somebody who has never seen sight, or who has never seen before, it would be really interesting to, maybe it does look like something real, maybe it looks completely abstract or weird, but that's exactly, maybe that's how she interprets it. So you're going through this world and you're uncovering things, but maybe it won't look like the real world, so it'll just be like this weird abstract view or interpretation of what the real world is like. But then, so you're not instead of just covering that perspective, like blindness, then what you could do is cover, maybe you play the parent going, hey, where the heck did my kid go? Oh crap, she ran off. So you would be covering the same ground that everybody, or that the girl covered, but now, you've seen this abstract view as the blind girl is covering, exploring the world, but now you are seeing the world from the parents' view, and maybe the parents are sighted, and you are seeing it from, like I said, then you get so the girl interpreted it this way, but that's actually what was really happening. But then you could play with it further, not just on, this is what she imagines seeing, this is what it really looks like. Go further than that also to say, maybe the girl, because she doesn't really know any better and she can't tell, people have, especially a lot based on sight, people have cited stereotypes or beliefs based on visual cues. You know, you could see a vicious looking dog. You know, it looks vicious, but maybe it's the nicest dog in the world. You know, you see, what's the thing when you hear the word pit bull? People automatically think, okay, that's just a, you know, violent dog, and, you know, you just kind of automatically stay away. So if you see a vicious dog like that, you're gonna kind of stay away from that. You don't have any, if you can't see and you've never seen, just by hearing somebody's voice, you don't know if they're tall or short or fat or thin. You don't know if they're black or white or anything in between. I mean, you can kind of, you know, sometimes you can tell by an accent, but not even then, you know. I mean, you have, everybody kind of mixes together now, and, you know, some people just adopt a dialect because they like it, or because they are in contact with a group of people that speak that way, so you can't even really tell by then. So, you know, the girl could actually be, you know, maybe she could encounter actual people instead of just wandering aimlessly, and as you're, you know, contacting them, you know, she doesn't know any better. She's like, oh, that's a really creepy looking guy or whatever. You know, a sighted person might not go up to them because she doesn't know if he's like homeless or creepy looking, you know, like I said, you know, race, or you can't, you know, just by, you don't know necessarily if, just all kinds of physical traits, like, she wouldn't know that. And then you come back as the parent, and you encounter these same people, and it would be interesting, you know, and especially if both people had, like an audible, you know how they do in other games and movies where you hear kind of like the echoey inner monologue, like you hear their thoughts. To have the both the girl and the parent, maybe, you know, they could kind of voice their thoughts as to, it's like, oh, how am I reacting to this situation? How am I, you know, interpreting the world, and just seeing how, you know, playing off of that. And you know, that was just a really, really cool idea that the guys at Giant Bomb had. I'll try to remember to put a link in the description for this video to their quick look video for Beyond Eyes, because I think that was actually, like I said, I actually got some interesting ideas and perspective from how they perceived the game, and like I said, I thought it was really interesting. But yeah, I mean, I would like to see, I mean, this is really a straight up, really, it's neat, I like what it does. But, you know, I'm not going to go into the problems because I spent plenty of time on that in the first part of the video, but I could see a lot more potential for an exploration game like this. And like they also said, they said, you know, this is like, you know, they could see this as this is an interactive storybook. You know, it's great for younger kids and their parents, maybe, you know, instead of having just a storybook that tries to, you know, tell this story, this is kind of the new interactive medium. You know, instead of sitting down and reading a story, you know, there's no threat, there's no death, there's no, you know, there's not really challenge per se. You know, you're not fighting things, but it, you know, especially if they expanded on this theme to what I just talked about. Yeah, man, they could be, you know, this could be a really cool, like, you know, teaching tool. It's like, oh, how do blind people, you know, don't be afraid of blind people, they're just like everybody else. How do, you know, blind people get around? How do blind people perceive the world? How do, you know, not just blindness, again, don't just focus on that, but how do people everywhere perceive the world? How do, you know, we carry a lot of these visual stereotypes with us and things like that. There could be a lot of interesting things that could be kind of inadvertently educational about something like this. So that just, it really struck a note with me when I watched that video and going, I didn't even think of some of that stuff myself, but that's really cool. And yeah, there's a lot of white here. I have no freaking clue what's going on. See, like I said, I just walked past all that stuff, and literally, like I said, a sighted gamer really doesn't have any other advantage over like a blind person. At this point, you know, you can you have to use your vision because you're looking at the landmarks like right under your feet. But other than that, it's like you are pretty much blind through this level. So, it is kind of interesting, and I like how they play with the fact of taking away that security of the ground that you have previously covered is still there in the previous levels. So I have no clue where I am. I'm not even really trying to beat the level. I am just... Actually, do I go up here? You know, like I said, I'm just kind of walking around for something for you guys to look at while I, you know, talk about this stuff that just kind of came to mind after watching that giant bomb video. They're really kind of interesting. And it was the East Coast guys, and they just started their giant Beastcast, just a cheap plug for them. And I think I'm actually where I started. Is this where I originally came down? I can't even tell anymore. Hell, I have no idea. But after watching that, and after, you know, hearing some of their kind of intriguing ideas, I actually did send them an email to their Bombcast or Beastcast address, because it would be really interesting. One of the things that I would love to see, and what I've always said from the very beginning of the channel, I think when we were doing that original Wolfenstein 3D episode playthrough, like one of the first couple of videos on the channel, I said, I would love to see more mainstream gaming sites take an interest and coverage for gaming accessibility, be they accessible games designed for blind and visually impaired, or not just blind and visually impaired, but any type of disability, or, you know, adapting mainstream games so that just anybody can play them. And there have been quite a few articles and things like that lately, but they talk about them, which is good. But I would love to see, because especially if Giant Bomb does so much video content, and they do these kind of, you know, the styles of videos that I do, they're quick looks. I modeled my channel, kind of, if you remember, you watch some of those early videos, I called them quick looks because I didn't have another name for them, and I just, after a while I changed it because I felt a little bit uncomfortable going, did they trademark that, or am I going to get in trouble if they actually discover that they're called quick looks? So I went back and retroactively changed them, but at least the titles, there's still audio, you know, me saying, hey, this is a quick look for whatever. But it would be cool if, especially like a site where they're not just doing a canned review, but they just pick up a game like this and they'll just play it. You know, maybe they've had a little bit of exposure to it. Maybe they're just going into it with no previous play. You know, they haven't played it at all before. Either way, I would love for more gaming sites, and I've seen other gaming sites do a similar thing. Like I've seen a few Polygon videos that do that. I think Game Trailers does it. You know, a lot of the common ones that people hear about, they're starting to do more of this sort of kind of, you know, not just the pre-canned video clips and narration, you know, just putting in a game and playing it, you know, and whatever happens, happens. But I would love to see, not just articles, but I would love to see these mainstream sites actually pay attention to some of these accessible games and give them a little bit more coverage and talk about accessibility while playing the game. So, you know, I sent them an email with like a list of a lot of different, there's, you know, a few PC games out there, there's a ton of iOS games that are coming out there that are all audio games. I would love, especially for somebody who is fully sighted, who is not going to be used to just using their ears. I mean, there are games literally where you can't look at the screen because other than a couple maybe little like text things or buttons, you can't. You have to listen to the game to navigate. Look at the Papa Sangre videos. Look at the Nightjar, or any number of, I've covered quite a few, Zombie Arena, Audio Defense. I would love to see the Giant Bomb guys or other sites, I'd love to see them tackle, you know, just playing a game where they can't look at it and just kind of see how they react. And it's like, I'd love to see a little spin-off series of them doing that kind of a thing, which will naturally be entertaining, which is also what they're going for, but it would also be, I think, educational to the gamers that watch their sites, that would you know, kind of bring up, oh, you know, I didn't even think about accessibility, or I didn't even think about making a game like that. And maybe you get a few mainstream developers even interested in you know, trying some of these types of, maybe trying an audio game or something like that. But I think I'm going to wrap it up here. I rambled a little bit longer, surprise, surprise, than I thought I would. But you know, I just had some of these ideas, and I just kind of wanted to get them down. And yeah, I just, you know, the more I thought about it, the more little things I just kept thinking of. So I just kept it rolling. But yeah, this should give you more than a good look at Beyond Eyes of what it's like. It's still really slow. It is really slow, and I wish there was a little bit more to it. Again, I would love to see some of that concept that we just talked about a few minutes ago. But for real this time, we're going to stop the video here, and hope you guys enjoyed it. And until next time, talk to you guys again later.